Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. This is Imad and here we go again, another comparison between iOS and Android. I planned to do this comparison for so long, but late is better than nothing because now we have Android 12L or 12.1 versus iOS 15.4. A lot of new features have been added to each operating system throughout this period, so let's find out what are the major differences between the two. Before starting, let me remind you to subscribe to the channel, and here's the channel's donation link in case you want to support me in any way. And now, let's begin. The first thing to compare is the user interface, and here I will cover 3 points: the look, the animations, and the haptics. So let's start with the look. iOS looks exactly the same year over year, and iOS 15 is no exception. It looks great, but it's kinda boring, especially if you are a long-term iOS user. On the other hand, Android 12 is dynamic and more personal with Material You. It creates multiple color palettes that matches your wallpaper and use them to color your icons, widgets, buttons, quick setting styles, the keyboard, Google native apps, the menus, and more. So with every new wallpaper you set, expect a fresh new look for the device, which is nice. And it's not only about colors, but also the widgets got a lot of different shapes and styles to choose from. For instance, the clock widget will give you tons of different styles, same as Google Photos. And others can dynamically change their shape based on the size, which is a great idea. Overall, Material You is a new approach that I've never seen before in any other OS, and I really enjoy it. At the end of the day, it depends on your personal taste which OS looks better, but at least Google took the initiative to create something new and more dynamic, so I will give the win to Android 12. Now let's talk about the animations. In my opinion, iOS 15 is still the king when it comes to the animations smoothness. On the other hand, Android 12 copied iOS in certain ways to provide a better visual experience. For instance, the widgets animation now matches iOS in how it expands and collapses when you go in and out of apps. The quick setting styles use the same overlay cards found in the control center of iOS when you interact with them. Even the app opening and closing animation looks similar. But Google didn't stop here and added a lot of new transitions and effects that you won't find in iOS 15, like the power button animation that starts and ends from where the button is located, same as unlocking the device using the fingerprint. A new ripple effect when you charge the phone wirelessly or using the cable, and changing the wallpaper from the home screen overlay menu gives you a nice animation too. So which OS is better in this area? I see Android 12 improved a lot like never before, but sometimes you might see stutter or lag when you unlock the phone, tap on some widgets, and more. Also, Android 12 lacks consistency in some areas. For example, the internet tile expands into a floating card to toggle the feature on or off, or choose a different Wi-Fi network, while the Bluetooth tile is just a toggle. But with iOS, when you haptic touch on the Wi-Fi or the Bluetooth in the control center, it will show you the same overlay card with the list of available devices, which is more consistent. Lastly, iOS is still better in how it isolates between different layers on the screen by using a blur effect to focus your attention on what matters, while Android 12 is flatter. So I will give the win to iOS 15 in the animations, but Android 12 is better than last year and it's not far behind the competition. The last thing to cover in this category is the haptics. We all know that iOS is the best when it comes to haptics, but with the Pixel 6 and Android 12.1 or 12L, things have changed. The haptics are more utilized in more areas throughout the OS, and it feels much better compared to the previous versions. For instance, there is a new haptic feedback when you scroll through apps in the recent apps screen, when you switch between apps with a swipe, accessing the app drawer, changing your smart light's brightness, and more. All these haptics don't exist in iOS 15, but I have to say the haptic engine in the iPhone is better in terms of intensity, so you can easily feel the vibration when the phone is in your pocket. However, this is something more related to the hardware, but software-wise, I think Android 12.1 has more to offer, and with a more premium hardware, it could beat the iPhones. So to sum up the user interface category as a whole, iOS 15 is better in the animations smoothness and design consistency, while Android 12 is better in how dynamic and refreshing it looks, plus the more haptics it offers. So I will call this one a draw. Now let's talk about the functional features offered by each OS. And because there are a lot of things to compare, I classified this category into 5 different topics. Each one includes a set of related features, and by the end of each topic, I will declare a winner based on my own experience. Starting with the smart features, and here I mean the features that rely on AI, speech and image recognition, and more. The first comparison is between live text and visual lookup of iOS 15 versus Google Lens. Both can do basic tasks really well, like copying text from an image or by using the camera, so you won't be disappointed with any. Apple's visual lookup can also search for pets, landmarks, plants, flowers, art, and books, which is also possible with Google Lens. But Google Lens can identify other objects that visual lookup cannot do, like electronic devices, home furniture, cars, or pretty much anything you point your camera at. You can even use it to solve math problems. I did a whole comparison between the two that you can see its link now on the screen, and with no doubt the win goes to Android 12 here. Certainly you can download Google Lens on your iOS device, but having these features from a third-party app will require extra steps instead of just using your default camera or Photos app. Next, Android 12 Assistant Voice Typing versus iOS 15 Voice Typing. Voice typing in general is one of the things that I never thought about using it instead of the keyboard, but with Android's Assistant Voice Typing, I use it every day. Look at this text written using both features. Both were accurate, but with Android 12, the punctuation was added automatically, which is not the case with iOS 15. And this alone makes it much more useful. On top of this, it supports a set of commands to edit your text, so here's a quick demo to show you how powerful it is. What about dinner in a cheesecake factory? Clear all? What about a movie night? Send. By the way, I got my new Pixel 5. Delete. Delete. Pixel 6 Pro 128 GB. Party emoji. Send. Next, live translate. Android 12 and the iOS 15 have their own implementations for this feature. Both allow you to translate any text anywhere throughout the OS, which is very handy, but once more, Android 12 has the edge. With live text on the Pixel 6 models, you can translate any conversation in any app on the fly. The messages appear on the screen as if they were originally sent in your own language, plus Gboard will automatically translate your replies for the other person to understand your messages too. By this, you can have a seamless conversation with others in 42 different languages without any effort. Based on the previous comparisons in the smart features, Google always takes the lead from Apple, and there are even more features in Android 12 that you won't find alternatives for in iOS 15, like Magic Eraser. That allows you to remove unwanted people and objects from photos, and all you need to do is a press of a button. Another feature called Quick Phrases that allows you to answer or decline calls by just saying the word answer or decline, and the same for snoozing and stopping your alarms. The third feature is the ability to check the wait times before calling businesses with the ability to see the choices on the screen and tap the one you want. It only works in US and toll-free numbers for now, and I hope Google will expand it in the future. Last but not least, call captioning. This feature can handle the call and convert the conversation to text that you can see and reply back to using your keyboard. So here is a quick demo.
The other person has call captions enabled. Please start speaking.
So this message will set the recipient expectations that this is not a voicemail or any sort of an answering machine. So let's remove the mute from the iPhone and start talking. Hey, what's up? I wanted to check if you're free tonight for dinner in my place. As you see, the feature picked up every single word I said accurately, which is really nice. Now it's time to reply back to the recipient using the keyboard. The other person will get this audio feedback to let them know that I'm doing something. So I'm gonna say I'm not sure yet. Okay, and once I tap on send,
I'm not sure yet.
So this is how the other person will listen to your messages. I consider this feature to be a gimmick as I didn't see myself using it in real life, but it's a showcase for something more useful in the future like Google Duplex. There are even more smart features from the previous releases of Android that I don't see alternatives for in iOS just yet, that you can know about in my previous comparison between iOS 14 and Android 12. So instead of making this comparison any longer, it's obvious that Android 12 is the best by far when it comes to the smart features. Topic number 2 is the ease of use. In this area, I see Google copied iOS in a lot of features like the one-handed mode. It works exactly the same as iOS. The picture-in-picture window pinch to zoom and the docking to the side, the back tap gesture that you can assign to do certain actions, hold the power button to launch the virtual assistant, and more. But what I didn't like in Android 12 is the removal of Android 11 power menu. With the press of a button, we used to have the power controls, Google Pay, and device controls in a single page, which is very convenient. But now once more, Google copied iOS and separated those features into different tiles like Google Pay tile, device controls tile, and the overlay power menu, which is the case in iOS. A double press on the power to access Apple Pay, expand the control center for the device controls, and the power plus volume down to access the power menu. So far, none of them has the edge over the other, but there are other features to compare, and I will start with the things that iOS does better. The first one is the Spotlight search. In iOS 15, you can search for pretty much everything like settings, all types of messages, notes, reminders, maps, and with iOS 15 you can search for photos, search and install apps from the Play Store, and more. In Android, this is the first time Google adds a system-wide search, and so far its functionality is very limited. You can only search for apps, app shortcuts, contacts, conversations, settings, and pixel tips, so the edge goes to iOS 15. Number 2 is the ability to reorder and hide home screen pages, and this is one of the features that Google should have implemented a long time ago like other Android OEMs, but till now it's not available. Last but not least, the widgets stack. This is another convenient feature in iOS that will minimize the amount of space dedicated for widgets, and it's easier to scroll through the stack rather than moving between pages to get the widget you want. Android 12 has something similar in the at-a-glance widget if there are multiple things to show, but there isn't something similar for other widgets. Now let's talk about the things that I see Android do better. First, the split screen. This is one of the features that I don't use every day, but when the right moment comes, it helps a lot. Google also enhanced the feature so you can create app pairs to switch between them. Until now, iOS doesn't have an alternative. Second, Android's interactive widgets are more useful than iOS. For example, in the calendar widget, I can scroll through the months, tap the day I want to open it in the calendar app, while in iOS there is no scrolling, and tapping the widgets open the app on today's date, no matter where you tap. And the same applies to others. Third, copying text from the recent apps screen is one of my favorite features in Android, and I hope Apple will implement something similar in iOS. Fourth, the auto rotate. If you have the feature turned on, you will get a small rotate button at the bottom left corner, which makes the feature available on demand, while on iOS I have to pull down the control center every time I need to switch the feature on or off. Lastly, iOS is still inconvenient when it comes to reorganizing app icons and widgets. First, once you add a widget, there is no way to resize it, there is no way to place widgets in the center, and finally moving items around keeps reorganizing the entire home screen, which is very confusing. While Android is much easier. You can place anything anywhere on the screen, resize the widgets whenever you want without the need to re-add them, and now you can also change their style too. Overall, I see both are not perfect and each one has its own strengths and weaknesses, but removing the power menu of Android 11 is a step back from Google that I wish they will reconsider in the future releases of Android. It's hard to declare a winner here, but Android has a slight edge because it's better in 5 things versus only 3 in iOS 15. Topic number 3 is the notifications. In this area, iOS 15 added 2 new features that you won't find in Android 12. First, the focus. Focus is simply do not disturb, but with the ability to create different profiles based on your daily activities, you can choose which apps and contacts that can interrupt, which home screen pages to appear, activate it automatically based on a specific time, location, app, or based on your behaviors. You can share your status with others in iMessage, and finally, your settings will sync across all your devices. The only downside is it requires a lot of time to set all these settings for each profile, but at least you have the option. Android 12 offers some of these features like creating different schedules, which is the same as focus profiles, and per schedule you can choose the people, apps, and the other things that can interrupt, but it lacks customizing the home screen, syncing with other devices, and automatic activation based on your location, used apps, or behavior. The second feature added to iOS 15 is the notification summary. This feature is very useful and makes less important notifications a lot less distracting. You can choose which apps to include in the summary, plus choosing the time intervals for being notified. While in Android 12, every day I wake up I see tons of notifications and most of them are not that important to check first thing in the morning, and my only options are to turn them off entirely or keep them and deal with it every day. But what does Android 12 do better here? First, the smart replies. This is a very convenient feature that automatically suggests replies, and most of the time they are relevant to the message. So it saves me from typing some words. I can use it to open links directly from the notification, start an email message, or copy important information, which is something you cannot do with iOS 15. Second, the bubbles, which is another feature that iOS 15 lacks. It makes your notifications more accessible in case you need to. Third, the status bar. It's good to know what type of notifications are waiting for you before checking the notifications shade, and it also appears on the always on display. Both the status bar and always on display make it easier for me to check my notifications, and both are not available in iOS 15. Fourth, Android's notification history allows me to check any dismissed notification within the last 24 hours, which is very useful in case I dismissed any by mistake. And finally, Apple added the ability to mute notifications for 1 hour. It's exactly the same as Android's snooze feature, but with Android you can choose between 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, or 2. It depends which of these features are more important to you, but from my own experience, Android's notification system as a whole is still more useful than iOS. And this is just my personal opinion, but Apple certainly did an amazing job with iOS 15. Topic number 4, the privacy and security features. And this is where iOS 15 really shines by offering a lot of new features that you won't find in Android 12. Starting with Hide My Email. This feature allows you to create random emails to use for registering on third-party websites without the need to share your real email. You can also forward the messages to your primary inbox or any alternative email you added to the Reachable Ads section under your Apple ID settings. At any point, if you started to receive spam emails, you can simply deactivate them or delete them entirely, which will put you in control. Additionally, you can use Hide My Email from within the Mail app and Safari to reply to messages or register to websites without the need to go to your settings. You won't be able to do this on Android 12 without using a third-party app. Next, Private Relay. This feature hides your IP address from websites, so by this no one can see who you are or what websites you visited. You can choose between general location to allow websites to provide local content, or use country and the time zone to give a border IP address. Either way, your activity remains private, but unfortunately the feature is not available everywhere, and UAE is one of the unsupported countries. Similar to Private Relay, the Mail app provides a feature called Protect Mail Activity that also hides your IP address from senders, so they won't be able to track your mail activity. Find My also got 5 new additions: live locations for family and friends with continuous streaming updates, locate your devices when powered off for up to 24 hours, locate devices even after being erased, ability to get the approximate location of your AirPods Pro or AirPods Max with the help of the Find My network, and finally the separation alerts that notifies you when your Apple Watch, AirTags, or other supported third-party accessories left behind. All these features have no alternatives in Android 12, but Google included 3 new privacy features that we first saw in iOS. First, the camera and the mic access indicators. It works exactly the same on both, but Android 12 gives you the option to turn off the camera and the mic for all apps at once using a couple of quick setting styles, which is missing from iOS 15. And the second one is the privacy dashboard, which is similar to Apple's App Privacy Report. Both will show you the information accessed by your apps, but iOS 15 gives you more information like what other domains have been accessed by apps, which is not available in Android, and up to 7 days worth of data versus only 24 hours in Android 12. Last but not least, in Android 12, now you can choose to share approximate or precise location, which is the same as iOS. So these are the top privacy and security features in both. And with no doubt the win goes to iOS 15 for always being a step ahead of Android in this area. Topic number 5, the extras. Some of the features discussed here are useful while others are just gimmicks. Starting with iOS 15 Shared With You feature. It will automatically show the content received in messages in 6 different apps under a new section called Shared With You. For instance, under the For You tab in Photos, you will see the photos received along with the sender name, and the same applies to other apps. On top of this, with SharePlay, you can listen to music or watch TV shows with others in FaceTime calls. Honestly, I didn't see myself using the Shared With You or SharePlay features even once. And that's for 2 reasons. First, it's only limited to Apple apps, so if you or others are using different services, it will be useless. Secondly, I found it weird to initiate a FaceTime call just for listening to music or watch movies with friends. So I will call this one a gimmick, and please let me know in the comments what do you think. Another gimmick on Android side is the gaming dashboard. It doesn't really make a noticeable difference in the gaming experience. It simply gives you a bunch of shortcuts. First, you get a floating panel with the screenshot and the screen recording shortcuts and the FPS counter. The ability to adjust the game performance, but unfortunately it doesn't work for all games, and if it does, you will see 3 different choices to adjust the graphics intensity, which is something you can do under the game settings already. You get another shortcut for YouTube Live and one more for Play Games, so it doesn't add any new functionality or performance gains. Beside the previously mentioned exclusive features, there are some similarities like the drag and drop feature. Both operating systems have their own implementations, but in iOS 15 it works everywhere with all apps, while in Android 12 it's only limited to the recent apps screen. Either way, I see both features are not that useful, and I didn't see myself using any of them. I think it's more of a tablet feature rather than a mobile phone. Next, the digital car key. Yes, it's available on both, but Apple made it available for more cars like BMW, Hyundai, and Genesis versus only BMW on Android for now. Plus, it's supported on the iPhone XS or later versus only the Pixel 6 models on Android's side. So Apple has the edge here. In addition to adding the digital car key to iOS 15, you can add smart home keys and your photo IDs in some states, which is not yet available on Android. So overall in this category, the win goes to Apple for the more features and the better availability. Now let's end this comparison by talking about the software stability of each operating system. From my own experience with the Pixel 6 Pro, Android 12 had a lot of software issues and bugs. Most of them are gone now, but if we're gonna compare this, the win definitely goes to iOS 15 for being more stable pretty much all the time. So that's pretty much it for today. That was my comparison between iOS 15 and Android 12.1 or 12L. Please let me know in the comments what do you think. But for now, thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video.